Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I am in the greenhouse today because I desperately need to repot a couple of seedlings. I know y'all been seeing a lot of Aaron lately. I've been around, but I've been spending most of my time working with the animals that are here. They take a lot of time. There's a lot of them. So the garden has been neglected more than I normally would. Usually by this time in 9B, I have everything in the ground. But that is not so yet. I have a lot of weeds that need to be cleaned out. I will give y'all a little tour of what's going on. And we'll call this an accountability video because I really need to get on top of things before it gets too hot here. It was 48 degrees this morning. We had a cold front that passed through. I think that's probably it for us. I don't think it's going to get any more cold fronts. And I'm fine with that. I'm not looking forward to the heat, but you know, it is what it is living in Louisiana. So I'm going to repot some stuff because it's not ready to go out in the garden just yet. I want to give it some more time to grow. And then I'll show you around some of the projects I need to get done. One of them is cleaning the greenhouse because it is a big mess, which I think most of you with greenhouses know exactly the mess I'm talking about. They have pots everywhere. They have dirt everywhere. It'll be okay. It'll eventually be cleaned up. So the first thing I'm doing are these Pandora striped eggplant. I'm going to probably have to thin them out. I haven't really messed with the eggplant because the tomatoes really took up a lot of time. The tomatoes are all in the ground and those are doing good. So hopefully they continue to do good. The cold weather didn't bother them. It didn't get that low, so I didn't worry about it. Of course, everything in here is wet. Because we still didn't seal up all the cracks yet. But that's okay. So I'm going to make some new tags, which honestly I'll probably lose. It's okay. I do that. I figure it out once they start showing fruit what it is. Okay, so I have all my labels made. I'm going to go ahead and pot them up. These, I already moved the tomatoes into the ground, so I have a bunch of these little empty pots, and that's what I'm going to be putting them in. I have my dirt right here. I do have a little shovel somewhere, but it looks like I'll be using the broken one because all the rest are out in the garden somewheres. Lane's at school, so I'm sneaking in and doing this while he's at school because he would be not thrilled with me that I didn't wait for him. And while I do love gardening with our tiny one, sometimes I'm a little bit quicker when I'm by myself and not filming. So I'm sure he'll watch this video and be mad at me. Not for long though, because we always have garden jobs to do. He asked me yesterday what work we had. So I have a feeling me and him will be out here this afternoon working on something in the garden. Because there's always work to be done. That's the one thing about it, is there is always something to do. It can be exhausting sometimes if you do this kind of thing. But I used to worry about it. Now I don't worry about it so much. I guess if we were in like apocalyptic situation, I would worry about every single plant that I'm trying to start. But we're not. Stores are still open. And I can still go purchase what we need. So I don't worry about it too much. And we just do our best. The main reason I'm trying to get all this done is because I know then when everything starts growing and it's time to can, I'm going to be mad that I didn't plant more than what I did. Because I do that every year. The good news is all the peppers are in the ground. And that's usually what we use the most of, along with tomatoes. Because I make a lot of salsa. And I don't eat my salsa often, but from what I hear, it's pretty good. It's got good reviews. So I do have a general question for those of you watching. Do you have a schedule or a calendar to keep yourself accountable for all the chores you have to do? I have my basics that I do every day when it comes to the animals, obviously. But when it comes to the garden, I'm a bit more lax. And I don't necessarily keep a very strict schedule. And maybe I should. But I don't. Because I feel like gardening should be fun. I always envision our yard to eventually be just a magical place with a lot of perennial stuff. Not necessarily food forest, but we have been concentrating on adding more permanent food plants. I bought 2 cherry bushes the other day that I am particularly excited about. We have to get them planted, and we will soon, probably over the weekend. And then we have our thornless blackberries, which I really like. We have a couple fruit trees. We do want some more fruit trees. We just have to go and get them. But if you know, fruit trees are expensive, so we get a couple every year. I moved a mulberry tree into the chicken yard. So I'm hoping that makes it, because I did unfortunately break a root. And I'm hoping it wasn't a major root when I was digging it out. But they are kind of a weedy tree around here. So I'm thinking it'll bounce back. If it doesn't, I'll try to find another small one to dig up and move. That way we can have it, because I like to make mulberry jelly. That's one of my favorites. Let's see. I need more pots. We have ginger and turmeric that are planted. And around here, they do readily come back. I did pick up another piece of ginger at the store when I went the other day, because I don't know if our ginger made it through the winter. I'm pretty sure it probably did, but just in case, I'll plant some more. This year I might plant it into something that I can move in the greenhouse over the winter. That way I don't have to get any more next year. But we'll see. Time will tell. So this one actually had 3 seeds in the same cell. I'm going to go ahead and pinch this one off. We're not going to worry about this one. We won't keep that one. I know y'all just saw me throw it on the floor. I was looking when I came in here, and they have all kinds of plants growing on the floor in here. And I'm going to let them be. If they're not in my way, I'll just let them grow and see what happens. It'll eventually get too hot in here, but we'll open up the windows once it does. You never know. I know they have some nasturtium growing by my feet. They're going to have a lot of loofahs that pop up. And we'll see. Aaron's hoping they'll take over the greenhouse at some point. And I'll let them if they do. But if you see behind me, I still have some that I need to peel and process, which I'll eventually get to, but it's spring hatching season, and we are still expanding our quail, because thankfully we've been blessed with some otters lately, so that's exciting. I did not bring anything to wipe my hands with, and we needed to hatch more birds and grow out more birds. Alright, so that's a lot of eggplant. I'm not even a big fan of eggplant, but Lane likes them, and we have 7 plants right there, so that ought to make him happy. Next, I'm going to repot some peppers. I'm just going to show you those real quick instead of making you stand here and listen to me jabberjaw while I repot them. Not everything came up, and I'm okay with that. Like I said, all the peppers are already planted. These are just excess. Different varieties, not your jalapenos, bell peppers, banana peppers. These are other peppers. I do also have all those medicinal herbs that I planted. They need to be potted too. I'm going to go ahead and do that maybe tomorrow. But I do have some things like the chamomile that need to go wherever they're going, because they are done being in those pots. I think I'm going to put them in my green stalk. I planted some other seeds in there, but big rainstorm wiped everything out. I don't see anything coming up, so I think I'll put that chamomile in there just so I can keep track of it. But I did plant these moringa seedlings, and I don't remember how many weeks ago it was. It wasn't that long. But I had 2 of them that came up. So I'm pretty excited about that. They are good for cleaning your water. So this is like a emergency first aid plant. I like to grow stuff like that. I have these roselles that you can see. They also need to be potted. I haven't had a lot of time to deal with the garden stuff, unfortunately, because that's my favorite part. And then we have some blue butterfly pea that came up. Only 2 of those came up, but I'm not worried about it. All you need is 1, because it will produce so much. I have tons of it freeze dried in the house, so even if that doesn't turn out successful that this year, that'll be okay, because I grew so much last year that I technically didn't need to start them this year, but I just like the appearance. So, and these are birdhouse gourds. I already planted a bunch around the yard, and I'll show you a couple of them whenever I take you through the tour. These are some extras. I don't know what I'm going to do with them yet. I may give them away to my neighbor, because she should be getting some of her plants to plant in the ground soon too. Alright, so let me get to work on these peppers. Let me show you what I got. Yellow Jamaican mushroom. I only had 2 that came up. And when I say I only had 2, be aware that we had several rainstorms, and it did wash away some things in the greenhouse. So like I've mentioned before next spring comes along, we're going to go ahead and seal everything up well. But for this year, everything's good. Chocolate sweet. This was actually some saved seeds from a pepper from a neighbor. She gave them to me, and they were delicious, so I'm hoping those will grow true. They might not, and that's okay. Mad Hatter sweet peppers. I tried to do more sweet peppers this year than hot peppers, because I already grow a ton of hot peppers, and most of those overwintered okay and are starting to come back up. Zupai peppers. I'm just gonna get rid of this little one. We're not gonna worry about that one. And 1 blot pepper. You can see where some of it was washed out by the rain. But this is the first time I think I've actually had one of these blot peppers come up. So hopefully we can raise it all the way through and try those and see if they're any good. I have quite a few tomatoes left over there. I'm going to send those to the neighbor because she did not have much luck with her tomatoes, and I don't know why. I'm thinking that maybe she had a bad bag of soil. It happens, but luckily somebody's always got tomato plants, so no worries. I have her. And her peppers and her herbs did really well. So, and also, I know I said and a lot, but I keep thinking of new stuff I want to tell y'all. Check this beauty out. I know I showed it in some previous videos. It was just a clipping that I got from my sister-in-law and her mom. They own a floral store, flower shop. And they had these outside. And I asked about them. And I was like, oh, grab a piece. You can take some home. And she's just beautiful. I had a big growth spurt recently. And I love it. Love it, love it. I want to show you. I have this stick in the background right here. I thought it was dead. It's an elderberry I picked up at QuilCon in Ohio. And it's showing some life. So I'm really excited about it. So I'm going to show you that. And then I'm going to go ahead and show you everything in the garden so you can kind of see what's happening. And hold me accountable for all the chores I need to get done. These are the medicinal herbs that I started. Some of them have done really well. As you can see, those Spanish needles, they just really took off. I'm excited about them. Clendaga, Tulsi. Only one borage came up, and that's okay because I do have some volunteers out in the garden. I do have some little weedy seeds that came up. We're not going to worry about them. And down here you can see I have shishito peppers, calendula that absolutely needs to go in the ground, and chamomile. My peach tree that I've showed you in previous videos, that was just a stick, now has leaves. Very excited. These are all the loofahs that need to be processed. And this elderberry has some life, so I'm very excited about it. I can't wait to pick a spot to put it in. Alright guys, I'm going to grab the camera and head out to the garden now, and I'm going to show you all the chaos that is going on. And you hold me accountable and tell me to get these things done. My goal is, by the time the weekend's over, to have everything how it should be. But I also know we have about 200 quail that need to be sorted and moved into their respective cages. So it'll be alright. I got halfway through this video and realized that I accidentally shut my phone off. So we are going to start again. We have a fig cutting here. I'm trying that one in the dirt. I have some in buckets of water, but I hear dirt's better. We have a lot of gladiolas in this bed. I planted them last year, and they just took off, and I feel like maybe I need to separate them. I don't know a lot about gladiolas, but I know I like perennials, so I'm happy with that. I'll separate them if I need to. Daylilies. I do have some Asiatic lilies that have not come up yet, so I'm waiting on them. I planted some angel trumpets in this area this year. It still needs to be weeded. Just remember through this whole video, I need to weed and get the garden finished, so do not judge me or my gardening skills by my weeds. Here's some sage that has gone to flower. I've actually never had sage live this long and go to flower, so this is a first for me. It's actually really beautiful. I've never saved seeds from sage because of, like I said, never has gone to flower. But this one's about 3 years old. It really seems to like this spot, so I just leave it. It got really warm, so some cilantro went to seed. I planted some birdhouse gourds here, right here. So I'm hoping that they will take over this trellis area. Tabasco peppers, a hibiscus. That's like a dinner plate hibiscus, and I am waiting on her to come back. She's large and beautiful whenever she's here. 7-pot chocolate pepper. And then these are volunteer peppers. Anytime we pick a pepper and it's not good, we'll throw it in the dirt right here. And we usually get a ton of volunteers every year. In these raised beds, I'm going to be putting some bean seeds. Normally we would plant radishes here, but I'll show you the bean bed, and I'll show you why I'm going to put the seedlings up here instead. This is the first year we've had a rabbit issue, or at least we're sure it's a rabbit issue. So my beans are not great right now. These are habaneros from one of the local nurseries. He has great plants at great prices, and we like to support local where we can. That is a random volunteer tomato that I planted in here. This is another one that came back from overwintering. We'll cut them short and cover them with buckets and see what comes back. I had quite a few volunteer tomatoes come up, so they're all going to have a space to see what they are. Green onions. Those are from the store. After we used them, I went ahead and plopped them in the dirt. Love them. I pulled these tomatoes out the compost. I'm not sure what kind they are, but we are going to plant them and find out. Thornless blackberries. If you don't have those, I say get them. Because if I don't have to bother with a wild blackberry anymore, I probably won't. You can see they're already making some berries. And these make huge berries. This bed is another big project. We dumped compost on top of it. There's lots of weeds happening. We are going to take off this top layer of bricks, put down a weed cover, and replace that top layer. Just so we don't have to deal with this mess anymore. This is one of the most frustrating areas besides our two back beds. Which, here you can see the ragweed has taken over. Because on the other side of the fence, they don't really do much. It's all kind of wild, which is okay. The ragweed, it takes off on this side. So we are planning on redoing all of this. And that's going to be another project, hopefully, for this weekend. My bean bed, that is usually beautiful this time of year, has a lot of weeds. And not a lot of seedlings. So that was really upsetting for me. But we can grow beans 2 or 3 times in the spring. So I know that I can just go ahead, I'll weed, and I'll plant some more bean seeds probably tomorrow. That way I'll actually have some green beans to can this year. We're not sure exactly what happened, but that's part of gardening. Sometimes the plants just don't work out. We have 1 seedling here and 3 here of the Fruity Tooty cucumber from Asian Garden to Table. I'm going to come clean up those weeds around them. I am aware that they are dollar weeds, and I'm also aware that it means we have bad drainage. But this is the beds that we have. Pepper plants, they're actually doing well, minus the ants that we're seemingly having a problem with. And that's due to all the rain. It's been massive amounts. It's been frustrating. Our yard holds water. But you know what? Plants want to grow. So they'll be okay. And you can see I use tomato cages around our peppers. That really is the best use of your tomato cages. Because let's face it, they're never actually big enough for a tomato. I do have 2 pepper plants missing here. So I have a feeling it's a rabbit that's been visiting us. So we tried to block up all the holes on the fence just to make sure. We do have some squash that came up. And as you can see, they have some missing holes here too. This is where the asparagus is. I know it's a weedy mess currently, but that's okay. This is its 3rd year, so we are actually able to harvest asparagus this year. We have been patiently waiting. And as you can see, we have been harvesting. You can tell from these broken ones. Tomatoes are doing great. I think that I'll have to replant most of my trellises because most of those seedlings either disappeared or didn't come up. These are all the tomatoes we started in the greenhouse. I do have to get a few more stakes. I didn't have enough. And sometimes we'll just use poles we have laying around. But I do need more stakes. This big one is what I started in the hydroponic garden in the house. Didn't think I would like hydroponics, but I've been really impressed with the plants that I started. Those are the cherries that need to be planted. And if I'm honest, I'm not sure why they're angry right now. I don't know if they're too wet, not wet enough. I don't know. We'll figure it out. I think that means we have to hurry up and put them in the ground. We have this wild elderberry that came up here. I probably need to cut it down, but it can stay for this year. And these are the first tomatoes I put in the ground. And as you can see, they're doing really well. I'm happy with their progress. The wildflower garden is doing its own thing. They have a lot of goldenrod that came up. They have a few volunteer borage. I threw a lot of sunflower seeds in there, so I'm hoping to see some of those. They have a lot of everything. But there's also some progress on cosmos. I don't know if you can see the fluffiness of the leaves, but they have a lot of them in there. And they usually put on the best show in the whole wildflower garden. They have elephant ears. I did see a piece of poison ivy. I'm not real happy about that, but that's okay. Plenty of marigolds in here too. This is that elderberry I showed not too long ago. It's going to be in its second year this year. So we are leaving it, and we are excited to have one on our side of the fence. Lemongrass needs to be cleaned up. Rosemary is huge this year, so we're really excited about that because we have always wanted just a giant rosemary bush. You can see these guys here. This is all cilantro that when it got hot for a few days, it already went to flower. So that's kind of upsetting, but it's okay. Then we have a lot of volunteer deal. I did throw seeds in here, but most of these are volunteers. I didn't have to actually consciously plant too much of it. Of course, they have some mint. They do have some flowers that'll pop up in here. I do have one chive that's starting to come back. And then we have another thornless blackberry vine that grows here. And it's full of flowers. This is actually going to be its third year. And it's always a good producer. I highly recommend thornless blackberries if you don't have one yet. That's just decorative. More ragweed and weeds here that we need to deal with. We haven't decided what we're going to do with these beds, but I think it's going to be like the cherry bushes, maybe some more of the thornless blackberries. Something that's going to be easy that we don't have to worry about weeding. This came up, and I am uncertain of what it is. It does look like some type of berry, so we're going to leave this one grow until we figure it out. The grapes have not started leafing out yet. I am patiently waiting for that. It should be soon though. I'm looking forward to having these back. So yes, that is the current garden situation. But the good news is, come fall, once all this is passed, we'll be putting in our new beds, which will be 4 longer, raised, taller beds. So I am looking absolutely forward to that. Won't have to worry about rabbits. I don't think anyway. If you have rabbits that are wild in your yard, you let me know. Alright guys, if you stuck with me through all of that, thank you. I appreciate it. If you have any helpful advice, I would love to hear it. Keep me accountable because I'm having a hard time getting out here in the garden for whatever reason. And normally it's the first place I'm out at, but like I said, the birds, they come first. The things that, that need me to feed them to live come first. But I need to get this done too because I'll be mad at myself and kicking myself come canning time because I won't have all the things to can like I usually like. Y'all go ahead, hit the like button, subscribe, follow along with us. And hopefully, I'll be back showing you some updated garden progress soon. Alright guys, bye.